Welcome back, everybody. The History Guy here. Well, I've had a number of people request that I might revisit doing a campaign on the ACW mod for Empire Total War, which is a campaign mode in which you get to play as the North or the South during the Civil War. So I thought I'd give it a try, and since I'm still in the middle of a Confederate Legendary Mode campaign on Ultimate General Civil War, I thought I'd go with the Union on this one. But with that in mind, we're going to go long campaign, and we're going to max out the difficulties at very hard for both battle and campaign. I'm hoping that'll mean that the tactics will be a little better by the Confederates, because I found it to be pretty easy the last time I played this. I know AI is never going to be that great on the Total War series, but so I thought I'd do that, and we'll have some fun with this. We'll see how it goes. Haven't played this for quite a while, but I thought it might be fun to dig into, so I'm just looking here to see. I don't think I need advisor help. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And I'll probably do what I do on some of my other campaigns and some of my other games, which is kind of jump in and out to keep more action going in the video rather than you seeing every single little detail of what I do. But for the most part, I'll show the choices that I'm making and try to get at least one battle in every episode if I can. So obviously the plan here is to defeat the South. There's actually some specific things we have to do in order to do that, but for now we are in 1861, and I believe we are not yet technically at war with the Confederacy, but it's important right off the bat to start with recruitment and make sure that I get an army built up. So we're going to start recruiting some line infantry in all our different cities here. And then we'll work on getting other things like cavalry, artillery, etc. Let's get some Zouaves here. Now, obviously, recruiting a lot of infantry means a lot of money is going to be spent right off the bat on paying for all of these troops. But that's just the reality of how things are going to be. So we're going to do that first. I want to get at least one in every single place if I can, just so I make sure that there's no weak spots along the line. And then we'll kind of see where things stand. 24 pounders, dang, that'd be kind of awesome. But I don't think we'll go that way quite yet. Now hopefully these troops will get named after the areas they're recruited, but I'm not entirely sure that happens. They may just show up as just standard infantry. I don't know if there's a way you can rename them, but I'm going to definitely explore that to see if that's the case. But every single place I'm going to have them recruiting infantry right off the bat. And then on top of that, we'll start looking at infrastructure. We'll look at the things that we can build. This gives a bonus to tax income. That's obviously going to be important moving forward. A cannon foundry in New York, probably a good thing also. I'm looking at some of these things here to see just what they offer. So Philadelphia is definitely probably a place that we want to build an ordnance factory so we can get some better things going. But I also need to be thinking about making sure that I'm doing some things to increase my income along the way. So things like farmers, fur traders. I'm going to just try to improve a lot of these things that have to do with industry, finance, infrastructure. I think that's probably a good place to start. Make sure I leave myself some money, and we'll see what happens foreign relations-wise. Jefferson Davis. And by the way, if you play this game, definitely have the music on. They've got like the soundtrack from Gettysburg and stuff, and some of the music from Ken Burns' Civil War series. Fantastic soundtrack for this mod. I'm just not using the music because I don't want to get dinged for copyright violations on the video. So, all right, so Jefferson Davis is asking me to give up Kansas, Western New York, and Maryland in exchange for New Mexico and some technology, which he surprisingly has that I don't have, and a payment of $25,000. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Sorry, dude. France, Elizabeth I. I didn't know they had an Elizabeth I. They're offering a trade agreement. They want to do the same with me, but they want me to pay them for it. No. How about just a flat trade agreement? Military access. Yeah, I don't need military access through France. Sorry, guys. All right, now the Dutch, on the other hand, just are offering a straight-up trade agreement. I always knew that I could count on the Dutch. The United Provinces. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it much. All right. So I think this is just stuff that's being built. Yep, we got some things constructed. And a bunch of our troops are now in the field. I just want to look real quick at the status of things like the government, my income. So here on that screen, I'm just refamiliarizing myself. Abraham Lincoln III. Interesting. I don't know if they're referring to the fact that I know he had like a grandfather named Abraham Lincoln and maybe another one before that. It's saying our capital is Philadelphia, which is kind of strange. But that's cool. That actually keeps it a little further away from the Confederates. Army upkeep right now is 4603. But I'm actually making close to 15,000. So I can support a significantly higher military than what I've got right there. Right now we've got pretty low tax levels because most of my income is actually coming from other places. I'm tempted to just let them auto-manage construction, but I may do that at some point, just not yet. Here's our cabinet. We've got William Seward, the Prime Minister. He's the Secretary of State, so I guess closest thing to Prime Minister. Salmon P. Chase is the Secretary of the Treasury. Edward Bates, Attorney General. Simon Cameron, Secretary of War. He lost that job about a year into the war. It was replaced with Stanton. And then here's Gideon Welles, the Secretary of the Admiralty. He was Secretary of the Navy, was his title here in the U.S. All right, so that's kind of an overview of those things. That gives us a sense of where things stand. I'm going to continue to upgrade the wealth of the region. Try to build up infrastructure as much as I possibly can before we continue building up the military. Building up some of these peasant farms and things like that. So now, let's go ahead and go back to the military for just a minute. And we're going to increase the number, especially in places like Kentucky that's right on the border and just right across there from Nashville. That's definitely a place I need to be making sure that I'm recruiting a lot. We're going to upgrade the infrastructure. It doesn't look like I can do things like build barracks or anything yet, but that'll improve things there. So, all right. So let me go in and do a little bit more of that, and then we'll come back with the next turn and see what's happening. Okay, so what I've done is to give this a little bit more of a realistic feel for me. I've gone into all of my regiments that have so far been raised and given them names that are more fitting of the American Civil War. So instead of things like 23rd Regiment of Foot, which is something you would see maybe 100 years before that, I've gone into Ohio units, and I've named them things like 1st Ohio Volunteer Infantry, 2nd Ohio Volunteer Infantry, and then I'll kind of keep numbering them as I go along. Now, occasionally there are special units. For example, New York, a lot of the New York units, we've got Zouaves. So let me see if I can find some of those for you. Out in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, here's the thing. I don't know of any Missouri Zouave units, so I went ahead and gave them the 14th Brooklyn, which was an elite unit from the Civil War that came from New York. But when possible, I'll still match them up with the states that they came from. So I did a couple of other New York Zouave units as well, if I can just find some of them. Anyway, they're out there. So now, obviously, for the sake of the game, I'm not going to bog this down by showing you me doing that every time. So every time I pause or I take a break, any new units that I've recruited, I'll go ahead and update their names as well and just kind of keep a running list so I can do this. And eventually, rather than go in order, I may try to put in the names of famous units. So for example, I may not wait to get to something like the 148th Pennsylvania, because I probably won't raise 148 regiments in Pennsylvania, but the 148th is a unit that means a lot to me, because I had a lot of relatives who fought in that. They were from Center County, Pennsylvania, which is where a lot of my and my wife's families come from. And then, of course, units like the 24th Michigan or the 6th and 7th Wisconsin, which were in the Iron Brigade. I don't even have a place in Wisconsin to recruit, so I'll do some of those things too, but at least that way it gives me a little bit more of a realistic feel and helps me to identify the units and attach to them a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and end the turn here. And we've got another demand from Jefferson Davis. This time he's offering a trade agreement as well as explosive shells and a payment of $15,000. So yeah, we'll accept that if he's going to offer me that much. I mean, it's not going to stop us from going to war, but sure, we'll take it anyway. Now the Queen of France, who I guess is who that is, she wants us to give her No, I'm not giving you Maryland. What the heck? Like, I'm just going to hand over one of my states. The South secedes when Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, staunch Unionist, and known opponent to slavery, is elected President of the United States. The South Carolina legislature perceives a threat. Calling a state convention, the delegates vote to remove the state of South Carolina from the Union on 20th December 1860, claiming it's their constitutional right to do so. The secession of South Carolina is followed by Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. In contrast, the territory of Kansas is given statehood and admitted into the Union. First use of telescopic sights and other things going on. So we've recruited a bunch more units, which I will have to go in and name the next time I take a break. So a bunch more units out there now. And a bunch of buildings have been constructed. I just want to always keep one close eye on my budget and make sure that I'm not going too far above my income. So my income right now is just under $10,000, so I've got to be aware of that and not go over that. So now the South has seceded, so technically we are at war with the Confederacy now, I would guess. Let's take a look real quick. Well, I guess we're not technically. That's something that's up to us to decide to make that decision. So in the meantime, I've got to continue. I'm going to keep moving my army down from my capital in Philadelphia down towards D.C. That's going to be my jumping off point for a lot of these units. We've got dragoons, cavalry for the first time, so we're going to start sending them down as well. I guess I could just do this all at once. I'm going to leave at least one unit there in Rochester, at least for the time being. And I'm going to need a second army over here. And historically, most of the units in places like Illinois, Ohio, the western places, a lot of them fought in what we call the Western Theater, which would be this area. It's not really west, but it's west at the time. You had the Eastern Theater, which was primarily Virginia. Western Theater was places like Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, places like that. So I'm probably going to be doing the same with a lot of my units on that side, sending them down to Frankfort. That's going to kind of be the jumping off point for my western armies. And we'll send a few down to St. Louis as well, just to be extra safe there. So anyway, that's the plan for now. I'll go ahead and continue doing this. I'll go in and name my new units, and then we'll start gathering up, hopefully, a general, and we will. I guess we already have a general. It just kind of gives you those automatically. I wonder if you can change their names as well. I'll find out in a second. All right, so I'm going through now, and I'm just upgrading some of my farms. I want to continue to focus as much as possible on giving myself more infrastructure, more sources of income, in addition to building up the army. So that's kind of an important thing for me right now. So we're building up all these farms so we can get more food, more income. Oh, we got a cotton plantation here in Kentucky. Let's go ahead and build that. All right, I think we'll stop right there. Now, obviously, again, we got to watch for what the Confederates are doing. I'm sending as many armies as I can down toward what I'm considering my two jumping off points, which are Frankfort, Kentucky, and Washington, D.C. The South creates a government. So in Montgomery, Alabama is where they first did that, and then, of course, eventually they moved their capital to Richmond, Virginia, which it looks like is now considered enemy territory. Well, no, it still says we're at peace. Okay, that's fine. Let's look and see. We're starting to gather an army here now. Not quite fully there yet. We've got more units that are making their way down. But I want to just keep one eye at all times on my budget situation. My income's actually gone up. So the things I'm doing to increase my income are actually more than offsetting the numbers of units that I'm recruiting. So that's good news. In the meantime, I need to start focusing on some things besides just infantry. So I'm going to be looking at some artillery. Let's see if there's anywhere that I can build some. I don't just want these huge guns, these 32 pounders and 24 pounders. Though I guess, those will be nice to have. But I'm really looking for some smoothbores, from some Napoleons for up close, things like that. And I just don't see anywhere that I can build those quite yet. I guess I need to upgrade to the proper things to have in those areas. We're going to recruit some more. Those are Union regular infantry. I'm going to go with some line infantry out here in the west. I need more than what I have right now, I think. Get some cavalry dragoons going there. Where are my artillery pieces? Okay. Alright, we'll end one more turn, see what kind of an army we've got going. I'm waiting for events to unfold to where I don't declare war on the South, but rather they do it to me, which is historically what happened. So, because they'll fire on Fort Sumter at some point, I would think. Alright, we'll just let all these guys keep moving. Alright, there we go. Alright, Confederates are starting to move some troops. There it is, war declared. Hostile. Pull down your breeches and prepare for a whipping. War it is, sir. Alright. Oh, and he's going to come right away for some of my western territory, so I've got to be careful to have enough coverage out there. Alright, so yeah, the Confederate States pulled out of their trade agreement. Your path has been blocked by another character. Under the circumstances, it would be better to find another route to your destination. Where are we talking about? Oh, so because this is Virginia down in here, it's blocking my my unit's ability to get to, well, at least it was. Alright, so let's take a look real quick, because I know I'm going to need to protect out here, because he's already going toward this farm, and I don't have a lot up here. So what I do have, I've definitely got to send down, and I'm going to send him right to where that farm is. I'm sure we got something up here in Yankton. Okay, we'll send them down. It's going to take a couple turns for some of these guys to get there, though. So I'm a little bit nervous about that.
Anything more?
We've got a decent army over here. Some of which I'm going to start sending over to Frankfurt.
Men, forward.
And of course, again, I've got... Every turn that I have new units enter the field, I have more that need named. But I'll catch up with... I'll keep up with that as much as I possibly can. Alright, so let's do this, and then we're going to get a battle going here. We'll start with somebody small, somebody that won't be so hard. We're not going to get to a big battle in the east just yet. Alright, so we've gone ahead, and I've moved forward this army with 2,760 men to besiege the city of Nashville, which is only currently guarded by 700 men. So in this unit, we've got the 1st Kentucky Infantry, 2nd Kentucky Volunteer Infantry, the 1st Iowa, the 4th Michigan, 4th Ohio, 4th Pennsylvania, 5th Ohio, and then the 3rd and 4th Kentucky Mounted Infantry. So we're going to go ahead and get this battle going. See if we can't take Nashville right off the bat. Nashville was one of the cities that the South lost relatively quickly compared to some of their major cities like Atlanta, Richmond, of course. Nashville wasn't that big of a city back then. In fact, I live very near to Youngstown, Ohio, and even I think in 1930, Youngstown, Ohio had more people than Nashville, Tennessee did. So a lot of Nashville's growth has happened in the last century or so. All right, so it's been a while since I've fought a battle in this game, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens here. Obviously, it's a good one to get my feet wet, where he's got significantly fewer men than me. Oh, we're going to fight in the snow. This should be interesting. I'm not even sure which way he's going to come from here. Oh, there's the city, so I guess we're going that way. Alright, so I've got my mounted infantry units, and I'm actually going to take them and put them... Oh, we're spread out all over the place, it looks like. I wondered where the rest of my troops were. Okay.
Yes, sir. Infantry reporting. Yes, sir. Orders. Sir.
Now, if I remember right, these units have a tendency to shoot into each other's back, so I've got to be careful of that. Unless that's just on Napoleon, I don't know. Alright, let's go ahead and get going. This will be kind of a flanking force for me. We're going to group them into group number 1. Oh, he's got artillery. Awesome. Honestly, I could almost see myself just sending my mounted infantry in to deal with him. But I don't think we'll do that. Some creepy nighttime animal sounds going on here. I'm going to send my mounted infantry way down and wait for an opportunity to get on his flank. Oh, I do not like all that artillery, and I really wish I had some. But it looks like we're going to have to come up into the city of Nashville to do this. Let's take a look at what he's got here. Oh, they're even in fortifications. How nice. So they're only 6-pounders. They're smooth bores. Looks like he's backing his infantry up. That's a terrible place for artillery with those trees in the way. Woo! But it's working, man. Look at all the guys I've lost already. Man, I've lost 41 already. Wow! So that artillery's definitely having an impact. 5th Ohio is getting lit up. Not entirely sure why they're marching left. I guess they must not be able to go up this hill. They've got to go around. Is that what's happening here? Looks like everybody's going around to the left. Alright, you know what? Infantry's too close. I was going to say I'll send up the mounted infantry to deal with the artillery, but they're just too close. Alright, let's speed this up a little bit till we get closer. Alright, so I don't want to turn my flank to these guys, so let's just do this. Well, I should have known it was going to be costly to assault a city, especially right off the bat. Alright, how do I issue hold orders on firing? Make sure the guys in the back don't fire on the guys in the front. Don't shoot at the guys in front of you, please. Alright, let's come surprise them in the rear. Alright, let's look in on the boys from the 1st Iowa. They've already lost about 100 men. My goodness. Going after the artillery first. Good idea. Come on, boys. 2nd Kentucky. Do me proud. My home state. What's he doing over here? He's moving to engage my infantry. Yeah, there you go. Alright, his artillery's starting to waver finally. Come on, 5th Ohio. Oh. Well, thankfully for me, I've got a little surprise for him here. Hello? Alright. Everybody over here, stop firing, please. Except for you guys. You guys keep firing. Okay, now all infantry stop firing. Oh, didn't mean to pause. All right, we're gonna let the mounted infantry do their thing for the rest of the time here. I think this one's pretty well in hand. There it is. All right, perfect. So that was easy. They will not all be so, especially when I get into some bigger battles. So the numbers were actually pretty similar in terms of losses. I lost 583 men. A lot of those came because of the artillery. 688 all troops lost by his side, but that still leaves me a decent amount, and that gives me the city of Nashville. So that was way easier than I expected it to be, but I think that's probably a good point to stop for this first episode. There'll be a lot more action to come. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think I should do, what I shouldn't do, suggestions, criticisms, comments, observations, any and all things. Hit that thumbs up if you would. I would greatly appreciate it. And be watching very soon. I should have the next episode in Ultimate General Civil War ready to go. But in the meantime, I'll be interspersing that with some of this as well. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again real soon.